الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه وخليله خير رسول اجتباه أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا أما بعد. My dear brothers and sisters, my topic was last Jumu'ah about the importance of following the Quran and not making the Quran following you. The importance of following Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and not making Rasul following you. The importance of following the Sharia of Akhir al-Anbiya, Sharia al-Islam, and not making the Sharia following you. And I mentioned a lot of ahadith, a lot of ayat, and here is one of these examples. And I said that when people have their own agendas and their own views before reading the Quran, and then they will go to the Quran and they try to make the Quran following their views, make the hadith following their hawa, people will deviate. And this is mostly what happened with the Qadiyaniyah and the Baha'iyah and the Murji'ah and the Shia and all the sects that deviate from the path of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. From his time, Khawarij, Al-Rafida and all those categories, today they may claim they are still Muslim, but they are not. According to their teaching and their ta'alim, they are not Muslim. Because this is not what came from the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you want to be Muslim, take out all what you believe in, all what you think about, all what your culture told you to think or to say or to believe, and come clean, clear, open-minded, and read the Quran and understand what Allah told you in the Quran and follow what Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the way Rasulullah explained the Quran. Now you follow the Nabi alayhi sallam, and this is the Ummah al-Wasat, the middle, moderate Ummah. Is not to come to the Quran and make the Quran talk and extend the ayat and try to extend the meanings until that meaning will accept your interpretation or your view of anything. And this is one of the examples. Ya ayyuhan nasu, all mankind. And I start with this ayat to just highlight this meaning. All mankind, ya ayyuhan nasu. إِنَّا خَلَقْنَا اتَّقُوا رَبَّكُمُ الَّذِي خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَّفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ وَخَلَقَ مِنْهَا زَوْجَهَا وَبَثَّ مِنْهُمَا رِجَالًا كَثِيرًا وَنِسَاءً. O mankind, be dutiful to your Lord, who created you from a single person, Adam, and from him he created his wife, Eve, Hawa. And from them both he created many men and women. When you read this ayah without any previous meaning or agendas or understanding or culture, or you will understand this ayah is talking about be dutiful to Allah, the Lord, the Creator, who created Adam and Hawa both equal. And you will not understand that Allah created Hawa from the rib of Adam, which a lot of people, when they read this ayah, this is the first thing comes to their mind, that your wife is created from your rib, from your muscle, and that Hawa was created from the muscle or the rib of Adam alayhi salam. But the ayah doesn't say this. The ayah is not talking about this. Because this interpretation is a Torah interpretation. It's not the Quran. It's not hadith from Nabi who said that Adam or Hawa was created from the rib of Adam. This is what Al-Isra'iliyat said. This is not what the Quran said. The Quran said, He created, be beautiful to your Lord who created you from a single person, Adam, and from him He created his wife. What ulama al-tafsir understood, that we both are equal. That's what they understood from the ayah. Male and the female are equal in Allah. He has his duty and he has his right. And she has her duty and she has her right. And to know our duty and our right, we have to go back to the Sunnah of Nabi to tell who has to do this and who has to do that. My duty is your right and your duty are my right. And so on forth. But Sahaba or ulama al-fuqaha or Ahl al-tafsir never ever explain this ayah to say that when you read this ayah, the first thing that comes to you that Hawa was created from your rib. This is Isra'iliyah and from the Torah and the Injil, and it's not from the source of Islam. And this is why I try to tell you, don't try to make the Quran follow your understanding. Either Yahudi or Nasrani or I don't know, or Hanafi or Hanbali or Shafi'i. Al-Quran is not Hanafi, it's not Shafi'i, it's not Hanbali. Al-Quran is from Allah. And the Hadith the same, it's not Hanafi, it's not Shafi'i, it's not Taurati, it's not Israeli. Al-Hadith is from Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is how we need to understand the Quran. فَاتَّبِعُوهُ, the barakah of the Quran. The blessing of the Quran is to follow the Quran, not to make the Quran follows you. It's to follow the meaning of Allah, not to make the meaning of Allah following you. إِنَّ وَهَذَا كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مُبَارَكٌ فَاتَّبِعُوهُ وَاتَّقُوا لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And this Quran is book we have revealed, which is blessed. So follow it. And fear Allah that you may receive mercy. You want mercy? Follow Al-Quran. Don't follow your own understanding and try to make Al-Quran a proof for your understanding. That's the wrong way. That's what leads a lot of sects deviating from the path of Allah. Before I ask what they say, I will ask what Rasulullah said. What the ulama, our scholars said. If all our ulama confirm, agree upon, you cannot take anything else and tell me, oh, this is maybe acceptable. Or maybe it can be acceptable. Only things be acceptable is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant, and we need to know the meaning of Allah. فَاتَّبِعُوهُ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And subhanallah, even the memorization approach of Sahaba, the way Rasulullah taught them, the way Al-Mu'allim taught his Sahaba to memorize the Quran. They said, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, they said, إنهم كانوا يأخذون من رسول الله 10 آيات فلا يأخذون في العشر الأخرى حتى يعلموا ما في هذه من العلم والعمل قال فتعلمنا العلم والعمل جميعا. They used to memorize only 10 ayat per day, no more. Even if you are the most smart, clever, you can memorize easily. No more than 10 ayat per day. This is Al-Mu'allim al-Awwal, how he helped Sahaba memorizing the Quran. You memorize only 10, not for the sake of memorizing it, but for the sake of knowing its meaning, memorizing, knowing its meaning, and act upon those meanings. And this is why when they end up in Quran, they are ulama, huffaz, qurra, ulama, huffaz, qurra, and Muslims. They practice what they memorize, what they learn. It was easy for them. Today we memorize the Quran and we don't know the meaning of the Quran, or we don't know the meaning nor we memorize the Quran. And of course, what happened? Others exits or others resource will be primary resource to understand the word of Allah. Instead of making the word of Allah primary source, He's the ruler, He's the command, and we have to follow that. He's not secondary source. And then, of course, because it takes time, 10 ayats per day, and subhanAllah, it's the same. This is why I said one time, I said, قراءة نافع sunnah. قراءة نافع sunnah, which is قراءة warsh. and of Al-Madinah al-Munawwarah, which a lot of our students, alhamdulillah, memorize the Quran with riwayat Warsh, qira'at Imam Nafi'. And he said, qira'atu Nafi' sunnah. And our traditional way, you memorize only thumn per day. And thumn per day, counted, you will find it's about 10 ayats. 1 page and less than half per day. And this was the traditional way for our ulama, for our scholars. To do not, even if you are the most smart and you can memorize easily, don't add more than 10 and know the meaning and try to apply what you memorize, what you know. And this is why qira'at Imam Nafi' is sunnah, and Allah gave the Nabi Asam 23 years. وَقُرْآنًا فَرَقْنَاهُ لِتَقَرَأَهُ عَلَى النَّاسِ عَلَى مُكْثٍ وَنَزَّلْنَاهُ تَنزِيلًا. So and it's a Quran which we have separated by interval, that you might recite it to the people over a prolonged period, and we have sent it down progressively, so they will have enough time to observe, to grasp, to understand, to contemplate, to memorize, to act, to practice what they know, what they memorize. So even the Quran hifd is a process of understanding the Quran and of practicing and make the Quran your way of life. And this is Sahaba radiallahu ta'ala anhu. When they understood the Quran, that's why look what happened. All their actions are based on their understanding. If our understanding deviates, our actions will deviate. If our understanding is correct, our action becomes correct. And this is the foundation. It's based on our understanding that we practice. And when you see Muslim deviate, the first thing you have to check their aqidah, their philosophy, what they believe in, the concept they understood, the sheikh who taught them, the one who gave them that knowledge. اعلموا أن هذا العلم دين فاعرفوا عمن تأخذون دينكم. You need to understand that this religion, this knowledge is religion. Make sure you know from whom you take your religion. العلم كان محفوظا في صدور العلماء. It was protected in the chest of the scholars. You cannot just get the knowledge like that. You have to go to the shuyukh and they will teach you the knowledge of Allah and the hadith of Rasulullah. So you have the suhbah and you have the mushafaha. You have the suhbah, the friendship. You will know, you will hear, you will learn al-adab, how to sit, how to talk, what to ask, how to say, how to practice, and you know the knowledge. Now, unfortunately, it's good, but it has a lot of negative side, where knowledge is everywhere. You go to Google, Sheikh, Google, he will tell you whatever you want. And then your Sheikh starts to be Google or all those research engines. And that's your source. And you don't know al-adab from Google. Nor you know how to understand it correctly. Now to know, because this is missing. Al-Bukhari radiallahu anh is not only he was a memorized, he was amazing scholar to memorize. No, Imam al-Bukhari took more khuluq than memorization. And the people who learned from Imam al-Bukhari, they took al-adab of Imam al-Bukhari. Imam al-San'ani, one day he could not go to al-Hajj. He asked one of his students, he said, go, when you see Salman Fulan, Abdul Rahman al-Salami, just watch him, observe him. He could not go to al-Hajj. And he said to his student, he said, go to the Hajj. I cannot go this year and observe for me Abdul Rahman al-Salami. He said, why? Is it because he has akhlaq sahaba? Observe him, check, follow him. Whatever he does, whatever he do, come and tell me. He doesn't want to know al-hadith because hadith is easy to know al-hadith. It's easy to memorize the Quran. You have just to spend time, that's all. But it's very hard to have akhlaq al-Quran. Today we have a lot of huffaz, but we don't have akhlaq al-huffaz. We have a lot of Muslims, but we don't have akhlaq al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We have a lot of Muslims who name their children Muhammad 1, Muhammad 2, Muhammad 3, Muhammad 4, and Muhammad 5. But there is no khuluq from akhlaq al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Islam was not spread because of our names. Islam was spread because of our akhlaq. Akhlaq al-Islam. People need to know akhlaq of Islam, not the name of Muslim. And exactly this is why it was very important to take knowledge from Sudur al-Ulama, from the shuyukh, from the scholars. And when radiallahu Abu Talha, radiallahu, he heard about this ayah, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You will never ever attain the good, al-birr, the concept of al-birr, the good, عند الله until you spend from what you love, the things you love from. You don't spend from the things you don't need. You want to throw it, bring it to the masjid, give it sadaqah for sabilillah, and announce it in front of it genuinely is that I give so and forth. No. You want to give the best, the things you need, the things you love. That's give it for the sake of Allah between you and the giver. And the one you give, the one who receives. If you want your sadaqah to be accepted. When he heard this ayah, Abu Talha radiallahu anh, he didn't make statement in the masjid, hey everybody, I have a land, I want to give it for the sake of Allah. No one knew about it except Nabi alayhi salatu. He went to Nabi and he said, Ya Rasulullah, ta'allamtu ayah. I learned one ayah. It said in this ayah, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Ya Rasulullah, I have burayha, I have the best garden in Medina al-Munawwara. And Nabi know that garden. He used to go to that garden. He used to drink from the water of that garden of Abu Talha radiallahu anhu. He said, Ya Rasulullah, I heard the ayah and I know what Allah loves, what Allah likes. I want to give that burayha for the sake of Allah. Ya Rasulullah, use it the way you want. Then Nabi said, put it in your family. Give it sadaqah and let only your family benefit from the date, from the water, from the fruit of that, and make it sadaqah fi sabilillah. Umar, he heard about the ayah. He went to Nabi. Ya Rasulullah, Allah is saying, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. Ya Rasulullah, I have land from Khaybar. That's the best land on that place ever. Ya Rasulullah, I want to give it sadaqah fi sabilillah. What I have to do? Ya Umar, sabbil aslaha wa saddiq, or give sadaqah from thamariha. Make al-asl the source, which is waqf, endowment. Make it for the sake of Allah and let the Muslim benefit from the fruits and the result. That it was the first waqf of Islam. After the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, they understand the ayah, they come back and they practice it. Memorize, understand, practice. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها and the end فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. You make an atom of good, you will see it. You shall see it. You make an atom of evil, you shall see it. And this is how, when you deal with the people, just think about the atom. Don't think about the big thing. The big things will be sure. But Allah will make us, the day of judgment, He will judge us based on the atom. And the atom in the Quran is not the atom of the physics. The atom is the small things, which you see sometimes through the air. You see small things coming like a dust. That's the atom. If you do an atom of evil, such to someone else, that things will come the day of judgment between you and Allah and that person. So when Al-A'rabi read this ayah, he memorized it, he went to Nabi, said, Ya Rasulullah, awa nus'al, we will be asked about the atom? He said, yes. He said, wa thaklah, wa ra'sah, wow. What we are facing the day of judgment. Wow. Then Nabi as-salam, one word. He said, leave him. فَقَدْ فَقِهَ. He understood Islam. You don't need to give him Arkan Islam and Arkan Iman the sixth and you teach him the whole entire Islam. He is faqih. He understood what is the dunya, what is the akhirah. مَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. And then Aisha, she heard and she memorized the ayah, مَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرٍ يَرَهُ. An atom of good, he will see it. She doesn't have anything in her hand. Someone passed by. She was eating grape, unqud. And then she called him, she gave him one. One, grape, habba. And then the servant, she said, Ya Aisha. I mean, she thought that it's too small. That's all what she has, Aisha, but she had to give something. She said, Ya fulana, oh fulana. Allah said, mithqal. And mithqal is a small thing. This is more than mithqal. This is habba. If you have habba, give habba. Don't neglect. Don't say, oh, it's nothing. Inda Allah, it's a lot of things. It has a lot of mithqal. A lot of atom. Even habba, even one thing, one small thing, even $1. You can give to the masjid. Give. Don't tell me, it's nothing. And the one who receives, oh, he gave only $1. No. This is more than mithqal. And this is how Sahaba understood the Quran. Once they memorize the Quran, once they know the ayah, they know the meaning. And you can see the reflection, the result, sooner. And he will apply that. And this is how it's very important. It's very important to follow this concept of don't try to understand Kitab Allah through other means, other source. Last Jumu'ah, I start talking about how people deviate when they understood or they misunderstood the concept of al-qada wal-qadar. I prepared that topic, but unfortunately it's a big, huge topic, and I don't want people to get confused. I need to prepare more to start talking about it. But I move to another topic just to give you an example. Why people deviate. Why people deviate from the path or from the real, from the foundation, from the meaning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they think that this is exactly what Allah meant, and it's not. And they said, this is ilhadun fil ayat. Inna alladhina yulhiduna fi ayatina la yakhfawna anna. Those who deviate, distort, those who change the meaning, those who add the meaning to the ayat of Allah. Allah doesn't mean what you are talking, my brother. Allah does not mention, this ayah does not say this, my brother. This is your understanding. That is called ilhad, a deviation. Like we have ilhad in al-aqidah, there is ilhad in understanding the Quran. So make sure that what you say is exactly what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. We have a lot of kind of ilhad. Among the ilhad, a lot of people, you see them today, and they talk about it, and it becomes part of our understanding, part of our culture, that the dunya is the opposite of al-akhirah. Al-dunya is darratul akhirah. Al-dunya is something, and akhirah is something else. When you see someone busy with the dunya, the first thing we do, he's not pious, he's not righteous, he's rich, he has a lot of wealth. If he was busy with his deen, he would not be rich, that so and forth. And we have kind of culture where people start really believing that the dunya is the opposite of al-akhirah. Where the dunya is lower, akhirah is upper. Where we have to neglect the dunya to get the akhirah. Instead for you to get the akhirah, the first thing you do, divorce the dunya. The dunya becomes the enemy of the mu'min, of the believer. The dunya is shaitan. And many times, many speeches, many khutbah, all their speech is about how evil the dunya is. How evil the wealth, how evil the rich, how evil. And that's not at all what Allah said in the Quran. That's not at all what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the message of Rasulullah that he delivered. Yes, al-akhirah is haqq, it's true. Al-akhirah, remind people about al-akhirah, is true. It's haqq, it's part of our deen. It's part of our deen. And there is no, dunya cannot be fixed if we don't involve al-akhirah in our dunya. A dunya will not be clean. Our dunya will not be safe if there is no akhirah with. Work together. But they are not opposite. They are not enemy to each other. This is why the Quran highlight and elaborate on al-akhirah. He talked a lot in Quran about al-akhirah. Not to neglect the dunya, but to make a balance between the dunya and al-akhirah. This is why the Quran reminds the mu'mineen, the believers, about al-akhirah, the reward of al-akhirah, what the people will find of al-akhirah. So the dunya will not dominate in our life. And the dunya will not go beyond the boundaries that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put it. And at the same time, human being, the believers, will open his eyes. And he will think that, hey, it's not all about the dunya. Dunya is very short. We move to al-akhirah. Like we give a lot of concern for our dunya, we need to give more for our akhirah, because this is short and that one is long. And that one is more important. That's why the Quran always highlight the importance of talking about al-akhirah and reminding people of dunya to fix the dunya. That's the only reason. And he mentioned that the dunya, our dunya, is a test. And we have to succeed. We cannot fail in that test. But at the same time, reminding ourselves about Al-Akhirah and talking about Al-Akhirah is not overlooking the dunya or neglecting the dunya. And the comparison Quran is making is between Al-Akhirah and disconnected dunya. Yes, the disconnected dunya from Al-Akhirah, that's the problem. When people just look for the dunya and they neglect the Akhirah. That's the dunya that Quran is talking about. And he's warning the Muslim to avoid and to be careful, because that dunya doesn't stay longer. But the Quran is not talking about the dunya that help you to reach your Akhirah. The dunya that make you a good believer. The dunya that teach you Allah and teach you about Rasulullah and help you, and the dunya that make you supporting this deen. That dunya is part of our Akhirah. It's not the opposite of Al-Akhirah. We have to distinguish between two dunya. One is against the deen. One is we worship that dunya. And the other one, it's a means, it's a tools for me to know Allah through this dunya. It's a tools for me to support Allah, to support my messenger, to support my deen, to call others to my deen, to make people know about God, about Allah, about Islam, based and cause of that dunya. And this dunya is part of my Akhirah, and they have to be successful in this dunya to get or to be successful for my Akhirah. This is how the bridge, this is how, and it's not a problem, it's not a problem to have the wealth of Qarun. The only thing, avoid al-kufr of Qarun. And avoid the shuh, the stinginess of Qarun. And avoid the arrogance of Qarun. But that's not a problem for you to talk or to have the wealth of Qarun and the wealth or to be a millionaire. We have to understand the very things important here. And that thing is التعليم الديني. We are studying Islam, we are teaching Islam for people. We follow Islam, we follow the Sharia of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And a lot of people think that we do this because of Al-Akhirah. We study our deen because of Al-Akhirah. That's not true. Yes, we study the deen, we follow the deen, we follow Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. But not only for Akhirah. The reward of this follow, the reward of my follow, the reward of my study, the result is Al-Akhirah, is Al-Jannah. But the fruit is the dunya. The fruit of following the Sharia, the fruit of following Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the fruit to be a committed Muslim, the fruit is to get a good life in this dunya, is to have a tranquility in your heart, is to have stability in your life, is to be a happy man, is to be a successful person, is to make the dunya bridge to the Akhirah. So following the Sharia is not only to get the Akhirah. The Akhirah is the result. But the fruit of that commitment is to have hayatan tayyibah in the dunya. يا أيها الذين آمنوا استجيبوا لله وللرسول إذا دعاكم لما يحييكم. Answer the call of Allah and the call of Rasulullah to give you a better life. Because if you do not answer, if we do not answer the call of Allah and the call of Rasulullah, what we will get in this dunya? What is the result? What is the fruit in the dunya? We will get a miserable life. That's all. And of course, you will get a miserable akhirah. And Allah said in the Quran, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. Whoever neglect and reject dhikr Allah and the Sharia of Allah, he will have a miserable life in this dunya. And then he will be resurrected blind the day of judgment. So, following in Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, it's not just for Al-Akhirah, but to have a good life in this dunya. And a lot of people think that, those ayat, a lot of ayat, many times when I heard people talking, أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرَ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. Competition in worldly increase divert you until you visit the graveyard. No, you are going to know. Then no, you are going to know. Yes, this ayah is haqq. But this ayah is not about the dunya that help you for akhirah. This ayah about the people who worship the dunya. Dunya for them is God. They compete only about dunya. They know nothing about Allah. They know nothing about their deen. They know nothing about to learn the deen, to sacrifice, to support. These people, Allah is talking about them. أَلْهَاكُمُ التَّكَاثُرُ حَتَّى زُرْتُمُ الْمَقَابِرَ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَوْفَ تَعْلَمُونَ. So don't bring the ayat that doesn't mean what you want to say. People go to Bukhari and Muslim and they take a lot of ahadith from al-Targhib or Tarhib al-Imam al-Mundhiri. Of course, if you go there, you will find more than 100 hadith talking about poverty and how good poverty is. You may go to Bukhari and you will find those ahadith. But is this really what Imam al-Bukhari meant? Imam al-Bukhari, he's faqih, don't forget that. He's not only narrator, muhaddith, he's faqih, he's alim, he's usuli, he's mufassir, he's lughawi. And Imam al-Bukhari, he has a strategy, or he has a way, an approach how to understand Sahih al-Bukhari. It's not just picking hadith translated and come and tell people, mentioning 100 hadith, how poverty is good for the believer. And at the end you will end up with what? Let's divorce the dunya. Let's divorce the dunya. We have nothing to do because this dunya is nothing. And then of course, you will find a lot of hadith who talk about, that Sahaba or the most rich Sahaba will go creeping to paradise because why? They were rich. We need to understand that you don't just take a hadith from al-Bukhari and you become a scholar, saying to the people. You want to understand what Imam al-Bukhari meant. And what Imam Sahib al-Targhib, what Tarhib, what al-Mundhiri meant by those ahadith. And we have to make it bad because there are other ayat who talk about how good the wealth for the Muslim. How good the wealth is ni'mah for the Muslim. And the poverty is a punishment from God, from Allah. When Allah wants to make someone, when Allah wants to punish qaryah, He will make them poor. And they will suffer in that poverty. You have to balance the ayat and balance the hadith. Then you will understand the meaning of what the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam meant or what Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala meant. And among this hadith from Imam al-Tirmidhi, a lot of people mentioned, Allahumma hyini miskina, wa amitni miskina, wa hshurni fi zumrati al-masakin. Ya Allah, give me a life of miskin. And give me death of miskin, and resurrect me with al-masakin. This hadith of Nabi, it's an authentic hadith. But a lot of people thought, or they understood, that this hadith means Nabi is asking poverty from Allah. And they're asking from Allah to resurrect him with the poor. And we will resurrect him with the poor, and he will die with the poor, and he will live with the poor, begging others to support him. That's not true. That's completely wrong. Rasulullah was rich, but his richness was not in his heart, it was in his hand. He has millions per day, and he gave it that day. And millions comes every day to Bayt al-Nabi. And before he slept, he gives everything away. And this is how Sahaba used to be, radiallahu ta'ala anhum. And that concept of the dunya is the enemy of al-akhirah. It's not an Islamic concept. This is maybe Hindus' concept, which was part of their belief system. It was from Persia concept. And they feel like everything that a ruh, the soul, can be comforted with comfort, it's shaitan. It's an evil, and you have to fight that. And it's the same concept in Christianity. A man, and this is what a lot of Marcus, Luca, and all the Anajil said that Shabban Ghanin, a rich man, came to Jesus and he told him, Ya Isa, Uridu an attabi'ak, I want to follow you. The answer was, بِعْ أَمْلَاكَكْ ثُمَّ أَعْطِ ثَمَنَهَا لِلْفُقَرَاءِ. Sell whatever you have and give it to the poor, then you can follow me. Of course, the person went and he could not do this. It's impossible, it's very hard for him to start from scratch, from nothing, give everything, no home, no shelter, no whatever, and then you can follow Isa. Then he came to Sayyidina Isa, then Sayyidina Isa said, يَعْصُرُ أَنْ يَدْخُلَ غَنِيٌّ مَلَكُوتَ السَّمَاوَاتِ. It's very hard, it's impossible for a rich person to get into heavens, means to paradise. This is Christianity. This is what they believe, but is it really what they practice? Are they poor, really? No, of course. They don't practice what they believe. They don't practice what they have in their Bibles. So why we have to bring what they don't even practice, they don't believe in, and make it part of our aqidah, part of our deen, part of our philosophy. This is not from the Islam. And Islam is telling you, Allah is mentioning in the Quran that the wealth, the money, He called it khayr. It's good. He said in the Quran about al-mu'min, وَإِنَّهُ لِحُبِّ الْخَيْرِ لَشَدِيدٌ. He said about قُلْ مَا أَنفَقْتُم مِّنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِلْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ. Allah called the wealth khayr, good. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمْ إِذَا حَضَرَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتُ إِن تَرَكَ خَيْرًا الْوَصِيَّةُ لِلْوَالِدَيْنِ وَالْأَقْرَبِينَ. So Allah mentioned that wealth, and when Allah bestowed on Nabi Asal what He said in Surah Al-Duha, وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. He found you poor and He made you rich. Ya Rasulullah, he was poor, he was orphan, alayhi salatu wasalam, and Allah made him rich with the Islam, with the Iman. So the wealth or the mal, it's ni'mah from Allah. It's khayr from Allah. وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ. He gave you بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. He gave you wealth and children. So wealth and children are ni'mah from Allah. And when Allah wants to test, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to put someone down or try down, when they disbelieve or disobey Allah, this is what He said. وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا قَرْيَةً كَانَتْ آمِنَةً مُطْمَئِنَّةً يَأْتِيهَا رِزْقُهَا رَغَدًا مِنْ كُلِّ مَكَانٍ فَكَفَرَتْ بِأَنْعُمِ اللَّهِ. A tribe or a region or a place or community, they use their food, their income used to come from everywhere. What they end up with, they disbelieve in Allah. They think that they don't need God, they need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what happened? Allah tested them with فَأَذَقَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسَ الْجُوعِ وَالْخَوْفِ بِمَا كَانُوا يَصْنَعُونَ. He tested them with poverty. So the poverty is a kind of punishment, and it's not something we worship Allah with. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in a lot of ahadith, he mentioned how it's very important for the Muslim, نِعْمَ الْمَالُ الصَّالِحِ لِلرَّجُلِ الصَّالِحِ. He summarized, Ya Rasulullah, what is the wealth? He said, نِعْمَ الْمَالُ الصَّالِحِ لِلرَّجُلِ الصَّالِحِ. How good the wealth in the hand of a righteous person. How good, عند Allah. The wealth, millionaire or milliardaire, but that person is Rajul Salih, he's righteous, he's mu'min. He will use it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what the Quran told us. نِعْمَ النَّبِيَّ أَصُونُ بِهِ عِرْضِي وَأَتَقَرَّبُ بِهِ إِلَى رَبِّي. I protect my dignity and I get close to Allah by helping others. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, this man, if the wealth is not good, Allah said in the Quran, do not give your wealth, do not give your property to the foolish. لا تؤتوا السفهاء أموالكم التي جعل الله لكم قياما وارزقوهم فيها واكسوهم وقولوا لهم قولا معروفا. And give not into the foolish your property, your wealth, which Allah has made a means of support for you. This is the blood of life. Don't give it to a foolish, because he will lose it, he will corrupt it. And a lot of ahadith when the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, protect me from fitnat al-qabr and fitnat al-kufr and fitnat al-faqr. So al-kufr is like al-faqr, like poverty. So it's fitna. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الكفر والفقر وأعوذ بك من عذاب القبر وأعوذ بك. All those are hadith from the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam to show how the poverty is not ibadah. And this is why people, Muslims, they have to understand that the dunya is not against the akhirah. The dunya is part of our akhirah. And I mention this because even in our books, not everything you find in the books, it's from God, it's from Allah. Or it's not from Rasulullah. No. Al-ulama ala al-ayn wal-ras. They are on our top. Like said the Nabi alayhi salam, لَيْسَ مِنَّا مَنْ لَمْ يُوَقِّرْ أَوْ يَعْرِفْ لِعَالِمِنَا حَقَّهِ. He's not among us one who does not have respect for our scholars. But our scholars are bashar. And they are not ma'asumin. And sometimes they do mistakes. We follow majority of our scholars. We don't just because Fulan said it, for me it's deen. Imam Ibn Kathir in his tafsir, may Allah forgive him, he mentioned a story that there are two men They were partner and they were working together, and of course they were rich, and one was taqi and one was shaqi. One was righteous and the other one was sinner. He disobeyed Allah because he has a lot of wealth. But the sinner, he was professional. And the taqi, he was not professional. He didn't have a profession. So it ended up to a limit where they said, okay, everyone goes in his way. And they divide that money, 8,000 for each. So the sinner, he took that 8,000, and with 1,000 he bought a house. And the righteous, he took that 1,000, the same, and he gave it for the sake of Allah and said, Ya Allah, I want a house in paradise. Then the sinner, he took the other 2,000 and he gave them, or he went and he married. And the righteous, he took that 2,000 and he gave it sadaqah for Allah and said, Ya Allah, I will marry Hur al-Ain in Jannah, in paradise. Then the sinner took another 2,000 or 3,000 and he bought gardens and he made fruit and a lot of gardens, a lot of trees, and he started making business and selling. And the other said, Ya Allah, this is sadaqah for your sake. I want the reward of 7 whatever, the day of judgment. And this story was mentioned just to highlight how important to be faqir, how important to be a poor guy. And you don't need, and the scholars of tafsir, Ibn Kathir made it like a proof. But other scholars of tafsir, they said, first of all, this is Israeliyah from al-Yahud. It's from the Torah. This is not proof for our Quran. This is not source for us. Why not? Because in the story it mentioned that the sinner was professional. And, al-mu'min was not professional. And the question was, why not? Why al-mu'min should not be professional? And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُؤْمِنَ الْمُحْتَرِفَ. Allah loves al-mu'min who is professional. He has profession. He's an expert. Why not al-mu'min to be professional? Why only for the other one? And then he said, why not having, a house? And the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that from the happiness of this dunya is to have a big house. So it suffers you and your family, and to have zawja salihah, and to have friends salihin, and to have jar, neighbor salih. This is the 4 elements of the success or happiness in the dunya. Why not having a house? Instead of being homeless and sleeping in the desert. And then the third, he said, why not being married? And if you marry, whatever you give to your wife, your children, that's the best she has for you. You are working to make sufficient the whole entire family. Why this concept? It's not an Islamic concept. And it looks like al-mu'min al-taqi, he doesn't want anything in this dunya because he preserves everything. The thamara of your good deeds, it will be hayat tayyibah, to have a house, and to have a righteous woman, and to have children, and to be wealthy, why not? And to get the akhirah, the reason all, and then Allah will bestow from Him. It's fadl from Allah. He will give you the reward of al-akhirah. But not the way this Israeliyat want us to understand our deen. And even though Imam Ibn Kathir, he is alim, he is a scholar, he is a mufassir, but he is not Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And mostly this narration is not from Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's from Israeliyat. And we have a lot of Israeliyat in our books. And people who doesn't know how to distinguish between hadith and Israeliyat, between what is agreed upon and what doesn't make sense or has no authenticity. People who doesn't know this, like Hatib Ulayl. Someone goes night collecting wood from, everywhere. And he can collect snake, he can kill him. Because he doesn't see. He's collecting by night. He doesn't see. Exactly for the people who goes to the book and they try to be scholar. And giving a hadith here and there, and what is the end? Everybody will understand, hey brother, you are talking about the dunya, and the dunya is against the akhirah. That's all. We have to divorce the dunya, and when we see a rich person or millionaire, we have to accuse him that he is not righteous. And that's not the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This topic has continuity bi'idhnillahi ta'ala to make it more clear and to know really what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meant mentioning the surah Alhaakum al-Takafur, أحيني مسكينة وأمتني مسكينة, which I did not finish the meaning of أحيني مسكينة and أمتني مسكينة. And a lot of such ahadith like Al-Mundhiri in the Targhib wa Tarhib, more than 100 ahadith who highlight the importance of poor people. And we need to understand the meaning of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam before judging or before accusing Islam or accusing the Muslim or accusing mullahs or accusing scholars that look, you guys, you are making us poor or look poor, or or the other side. Our deen is balanced. It has a lot of common sense. Anything that has no common sense is not part of our deen. And the Rasulullah came with the fitrah, to match the fitrah. He was not sent to get or be against the fitrah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أسأل الله تعالى أن يعلمنا ويزيدنا علما وعملا وتقبلا. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه, والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. عباد الله اتقوا الله فيما أمر وانتهوا عما نهاكم عنه وحذر وزجر وأخرجوا حب الدنيا من قلوبكم إنه إذا استولى أسر. واعلموا أن الله بدأكم بنفسه وثنى بملائكة قدسه فقال عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم, وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد بر. وارض اللهم عن ساداتنا وموالينا أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن الصحابة أجمعين وعن التابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا رب قريب مجيب للدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا يا رب علما وعملا متقبلا. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في الدين والدنيا والآخرة. أحينا يا رب مسلمين وأمتنا يا رب مسلمين واحشرنا يا رب مع الصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا. Before I will start, inshallah, I want just to remind everybody that we have a sheet of paper on the back for Ramadan iftar. Every year we have the sunnah of feeding people. We have a lot of students coming from IUPUI. They don't have a family. We have a lot of family who depend on that iftar. So please, if you can, put your name there and mention how many people you can feed and make it sadaqah for your children. Make it sadaqah from a lot of people. Nabi Hassan said, for every mu'min there is hasid and there is shaitan. There is someone who envy him. There is shaitan who is against him. So to protect ourselves from those shayateen of al-ins wal jinn, as-sadaqah, and there is no better than it'am in Ramadan. So make sure that you are part of that list. Mention your name, your number phone, and mention there is information there. Please put your name there, and we have to keep that sunnah inshallah ta'ala in Masjid al-Fajr. The other thing, we have Hafl Khatm al-Quran. We have a new Hafiz inshallah, the 28th of Ramadan, which is the first day of Ramadan. We will give him ijazah of al-hifz and the chain to Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the 16th Hafiz in Masjid al-Fajr, alhamdulillah. Those kids will be inshallah the leaders of their communities. A lot of people will need them in the future, and we have to continue supporting those majalis or the Institute of Al-Quran, especially the one we start in Masjid al-Fajr, and we have 4 or 5 days per week from Monday to Friday from 2:30 to 4 memorization of the Quran process. So this is Hafl for Brother Abdul Malik Abashair. He finished his Quran almost a month ago, and I just delayed him until perfection. I can see the perfection, and now he deserves Shahada. So please be with us and Let's, especially the day of Ramadan, Shahr al-Quran, Allah revealed the Quran in it, and we have a new Hafid, and we need to encourage our youth and our children. The way he memorized, others can memorize and can reach the same goal, inshallah. But it needs support from the community. We'll start after Al-Asr, and the family will offer the dinner, so we have the dinner for iftar, inshallah, in our masjid. The last thing is, please do not forget to support the masjid with your, with your wealth, with your money, with your support, with whatever your advice. And just remember, Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, man ya'mal mithqala dharratin khayran yarahu. Don't leave the masjid without giving anything, even a penny, even $1. For the parking lot, for, masjid always needs support to fix. You will come here to the masjid, you see everything established, but there are a lot of people who are supporting. We don't see them. They are behind it, but we cannot just always depend on those individuals. We need the majority to be involved. $1, $10, whatever you have, but try every Jumu'ah to give, make like that. Tabi'i radiallahu anh, he couldn't find anything. He took all what he has in his house. All what is left in his house is an onion. And he brought the onion. When he came to the masjid, he gave it for the sake of Allah. So if you can do like that Arabi or that sheikh who give onion, so give the same thing. But do not deprive Masjid Allah from your donations. Every Jum'ah at least. قوموا صلاتكم الحمد لله.